Hi, everyone. This story is about a small village in India. So let's begin. Me and family lived in the village. It all started with the best news for our family. I was going to become a big brother very soon. My grandmother and my aunts were very caring towards my mother, and were only worried about a witch lady that was living in our village. Many termed her as a witch personified in a human body, though she never harmed anybody directly, but her spells were enough to kill anyone, and her stares were enough to give creeps to a full-grown man. One day the neighbor lady mentioned about the witch. The witch always came to see the newborn child in the village. Listening to this, my family got tensed. One day my grandmother was out in the courtyard when she noticed that the witch lady was just standing outside our house, and she was sniffing something very ferociously. She was moving her nose up and down and sniffing badly towards our house. My grandmother stood up and greeted the witch. On looking at my grandmother, the witch asked her if there was a woman pregnant in the house. My grandmother went pale and denied. The witch twitched her face in a horrific manner, stared at my grandmother really angrily, and walked away twisting her teeth. She could see that the witch face had changed inhumanly. When she noticed that my grandmother was lying, in the evening my aunt and grandmother announced that my mother will be sent to her parents' house for the delivery. So next day in the morning, my mother along with me was sent to my maternal grandmother's house. She was due in 2 weeks. 2 weeks went like a breeze. My brother was born really well and healthy. He had the most beautiful eyes I had seen. There was very much happiness in the family. My mother was resting, and all the family ones were outside her room. Suddenly they heard my mother's scream. My father rushed to her. My mother was panting heavily on the hospital bed and was crying very loud. She kept on crying, exclaiming that she will come, she will come, she will come. My family members kept asking my mother, "What is wrong?" My mother replied that she dreamt of the witch. She came in her dreams and told her that she will definitely come to meet the baby. My mother also stated that the witch was in her full form in her dreams and was not anything like a human. Both my grandmothers grew very tense, and it was decided that my mother will stay at my maternal grandmother's house for the next coming 3 months. I was told to go with my father, as my school was starting very soon. Once I was coming back from my school, it was a very bright summer day. People were inside their house. My father could not come to pick me up from the school because of some work, so I had to walk on my own. As I was walking towards my house, there was a sharp turn before the street, and as I was about to take that turn, I heard somebody whistle at me from behind. As I turned around, I saw a dark-colored woman, clad in black, swaying towards me from the very end of the turn. I was mesmerized by the way her feet were not touching the ground. It was like she was floating on the road. She had a very wide smile on her face, and she stopped some meters away from me. I was still looking at her when she lifted her hand and waved me to come to her. I was not in any control of my body and went towards her. As I was a few feet away from her, she started asking me, "Where is my brother?" I jerked my head and she was gone. I had a whole day of nightmare, and a night I can never forget. I dreamt of she snatching away my little brother and running towards woods all night. I called my mother several times to make sure my brother was doing okay. I did not tell anybody about my dreams and the witch. My mother was brought home on a very auspicious day. Every day it was so good with my brother, and we forgot about the looming danger. One day my brother was sleeping inside the house and my mother was working in the garden along with my grandmother and aunts. Suddenly she heard the baby crying and told my aunt to see my brother if he needs anything. After some minutes, my aunt did not come out, and my brother was crying continuously. My mother went a little worried and went inside the house, where she found my aunt fainted alongside the bed of the baby. My aunt was carried on the bed. When she got up, she said she saw a woman in black clothes standing and swinging my little brother in the crib. So when she called out to her, the woman turned, and only by her stare my aunt felt dizzy and fainted. They all were looking at each other with horror expressions. Suddenly, when they heard somebody whistling outside the house, all went pale, but I rushed outside the house and saw the same black cloth-clad woman outside our gate. She was grinning inhumanly and mocked my grandmother, saying that she cannot ever go wrong about a woman being pregnant. She went angry and told my grandmother that if she wants her grandson to be healthy and alive, she should bring the child right now to her. My grandmother pleaded and asked for forgiveness, to which very angrily, the witch told my grandmother to make her see the child, otherwise she will sit here all night, and it will not be good for the whole family. My grandmother started crying and kept on begging for the witch to leave. The witch stood up and grabbed my grandmother's neck and looked at her with a demon expression and told her to bring the child to her right now, or else she will kill all of them. The neighbor lady told my grandmother to make the witch see the baby if they want the baby to be alive, and ask for her forgiveness, cause whenever a newborn is there in the village, she comes to meet the baby, and until now nothing wrong has happened. But now as they have hid the baby from her, she is angry and they should let her meet the baby. The witch just looked at the room where my brother was and smiled, and suddenly we all heard my brother crying in pain. My grandmother rushed inside and brought my newborn brother outside. She gave the newborn baby into the witch's lap. The witch was ecstatic to hold my brother, and slurped her tongue on her lips. She jokingly laughed very horrifically and told my grandmother that her grandson is very beautiful. When my grandmother pleaded to give the baby back, the witch said that okay, she will return the baby, but just because my family hid the baby for so long from her, they will have to pay the price. My grandmother told the witch to take anything that she wants. She can offer her anything else the witch would want, but leave my little brother alone. Suddenly the witch looked at my grandmother with piercing stare. She smiled evilly and asked anything, to which my grandmother replied, yes, take anything that you want, just leave my grandson well and alone. The witch started laughing and said, okay, if you want your grandson to be alive, I want his one eye. He won't be able to see from one eye. My grandmother went pale and begged the witch to please take anything else. The witch exclaimed that if she would not take the eye of my little brother, she would take his life. So it was on to my grandmother to decide whether she wants a blind eye grandson or no grandson at all. Neighbors started gathering around the witch and started begging her to leave the newborn alone. The witch told everyone that if they want the newborn baby to be alive, she must have one of his eye. Saying this, the witch held my brother up in the air and started clawing his skin with her sharp nails. My brother started crying and screaming in pain. My mother fainted at our door. My grandmother rushed to the witch to make her leave my brother, but the witch grunted demonically, which made my grandmother get an instant nosebleed. My grandfather came back from the factory. He saw what happened and told the witch to leave my brother and take his eye. The witch looked at my grandfather and clearly told him that he was not going to live long already, and the witch does not want a stay lie. My grandmother saw that now blood was dripping from one of the arms of my little brother, where the witch was clawing with her sharp nails. My brother continuous cry of pain. My mother being fainted, and the blood that my grandmother saw oozing out of my little brother's body made her decide. She stood in front of the witch and told her, take the eye of my grandson, but give him to me. The witch started laughing. She instantly gave the baby into my grandmother's hands, swayed her hands over the left eye of my brother, and walked off like nothing happened. My grandmother went inside the house with my brother, and my mother was taken to the doctor. All the neighbors went inside their house, and the night was a nightmare for everyone. My mother was brought home soon. She was furious or knowing that my grandmother had given the witch chance to have my brother eye. My grandmother was still holding my little brother and was wiping away blood and was making him bath after an eternal horror. The next morning my grandmother was still sitting near my brother's crib when she noticed that my brother's left eye was now a cloudy gray, and that there was no dilation in the pupil. The witch had actually taken my brother's eye. After a doctor appointment, it was stated that he was now blind from the left eye. After the incident, my mother went to my maternal grandmother house with my brother forever. I was staying at my grandmother's house with my father, and soon in a year, my grandfather passed away. My grandmother was now a living corpse. She died the day inside, when the witch took my brother's eye. She took the whole blame on herself and stopped living at all. Our family broke into pieces, and happiness left our house. My grandparents are not alive now. We have completely moved to my maternal grandmother's house, and it's been 20 years now. My brother is still blind from the left eye, even after so many eye surgery and operations. I don't know who did right and who did wrong, but I know that my grandmother was just trying to save my little brother's life. We try to forget that incident every day for the last 20 years, but the nightmares are still on. I hope you all liked the story. If you liked it, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.